Okay, we're here with our top 10. This is not our last segment. Usually it is, but it's not our last segment. We're going to have one more segment.
We're going to segue properly for once.
Segue. Okay, we'll go back and forth. Any honorable mentions?
No, I skipped the honorable mention.
I'll do the honorable mention. Rocky, honorable mention for me. Not a bad series, but for me, it's honorable mention. Godzilla.
Yeah, it's been around for a
while. Doctor Who. Only because I've never watched. If I sat down and watched it, I'd probably throw it on there. Battlestar Galactica. It's stood test of time. It's changed a little bit. And Superman. I'm not a huge Superman fan, but it has been a very good series. Not a great series. It had good TV shows.
I went about movies.
And then those are honorable mentions. Number 10 for me, if that sounds stupid, Toy Story. It came out in 95. That's exactly 20 years. It has been one of the best cartoon movie franchises of all time. And they're coming out with the fourth one in 2017.
Okay. I went broader and deeper than you did. I wasn't quite as specific on certain stuff. My number 10 is Disney fairy tales in general.
What?
Disney fairy tales in general, because they've been telling the grim fairy tales for years upon years upon years, and of course changing them so they can indoctrinate young children, because when Jonas Brothers make little girls' Chinese tingle, Mickey Mouse makes money. You didn't watch that episode?
I've seen that.
That was a great episode.
You make a little girl's Chinese tickle. I make money. What's this I hear about you not wearing the beauty rings? Ha ha. Ha ha.
So anyway, that's what I was thinking broader about it, because Disney doing fairy tales has been around forever.
Yeah, Snow White was what, 32?
Yeah, it's been like forever, and they always do the princess to prince. It's like all the way down the line, almost everything except for Frozen. And even when they were involved with Pixar, you still got Woody and his, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, it's always been that theme. So it's always been a fairy tale. And I think they've done really well with marketing that.
Well, if you can actually go a step further, because then they've tied all those into the new Once Upon a Time. Mm-hmm. All those are in that, and they've done in my opinion, very nicely. It's just not one of my favorite shows to watch. There's so things I've just watched before.
I guess I was just thinking broader than that.
Okay, number 9.
G.I. Joe.
Okay.
G.I. Joe, honestly, created with the big 12-inch action figures back in the day, and it didn't take off, but it was something for the boys to play with. And then in the very early 80s, late 70s, it turned into a cartoon. It turned into a comic. Now it's a multi-million-dollar movie franchise. It was an animated movie. It came out right after Transformers, the movie, in 86, beginning of 87. But it spawned into a mega merchandising franchise. It started with a toy, now movies, TV shows, video games, the whole 9 yards. And that's what I was looking at.
I tried to avoid comic books as much as possible. I tried to avoid comic books as much as possible.
I went in general on that, but number 9?
Terminator.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Terminator. It has stood the test of time. The movie came out this year. Genesis was, I thought, very good movie. I thought it was a very good movie. They didn't, like, everyone was like, oh, it's going to be about Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, it is not. He's more of a side character and kind of like comedy relief, really.
He was sidekick.
Yeah, he was a
sidekick to the nth degree. And it was awesome.
And the 2 young actors they had in it, guy who played Varro, can't think of his name.
And then
from Spartacus.
Daenerys
Targaryen. She's awesome. Okay, that's number 9 for me. I'm going to do it. Number 8 is Star Trek. I like Star Trek. I like the longevity is obviously out there. They've been around, 60s?
Cartoon, TV show, movies, Mego action figures, regular action figures by Mattel, I believe.
There's an online interactive video game. The video game is actually pretty cool. It's an MMORPG. But it's hit every medium. I think there's probably comic books out there too.
Oh yeah, there's been comic
And there's just such iconic characters. Spock, Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy.
You have Captain Kirk.
God rest his soul.
God rest your soul.
He's the homies in the desert.
Yep. You have Captain Kirk. Even Picard was awesome.
Who doesn't love?
If you want a better commander, Picard's your guy. But if you want a guy who's going to roll the dice and win you the battle, you want Kirk.
Yeah.
That could be a good argument we could have someday.
Shatner versus Pines.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not Pines. Oh, well, there's 3 now, I guess. You have Shatner versus Pines, and then you have Shatner versus Patrick Stewart. Which of the 3 would you take?
Dude, we could even have Archer versus them all.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot going on. See, we weren't even talking about that. we even skipped that. The multi-franchise, not the fact it started out as Star Trek, then or the Next Generation,
Voyager,
Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise being my
favorite. Next Gen was probably my favorite. I like the old show. I've seen every episode. Love that. I've never seen it more than once. I'm not like a Trekkie, but that was my number 8. What's your number 8?
007.
Nice.
James Bond.
It's on my list. It's just a little higher.
I went with that only because it didn't franchise as deeply. Like there are the movies and there were the video games. Like it didn't reach out with marketing and to reach as many audiences as humanly possible.
I get you.
That's what I was looking at with this. Then after that, I have Star Trek. I have Star Trek at 7. I boosted it up a notch because it has literally crossed all platforms. It didn't leave. I mean, even an animated kids show back in the 80s, they've covered it all.
Mm-hmm. Number 7 for me is the Muppets. I've liked them as much as a kid, and there's 2 kid things on here. I don't care.
I'm gonna have to start like labeling shit.
But the Muppets, it has gone on like all platforms basically. Cartoon shows, TV shows, movies. Pretty sure there's books. I remember the kids' books when I was a kid.
Everywhere.
They are funny. I enjoy them. There's no other way to put that. I've always liked the movies as a kid. So they have maintained for a long time. What, 60s, late 60s, early 70s?
Yeah. Well,
they always have awesome celebrities in it too.
With the advent of Sesame Street.
Yeah.
And then the Muppets were spawned.
Yeah.
And then Elmo's.
What's that? Jim Henson and Oz. Frank Oz.
Huh?
Frank Oz did some voices.
Cookie Monster and Grover that I'm aware of.
Grover. And he also did Yoda. Number 6 for me is Die Hard series.
Okay, you stuck to movies.
I did mostly. There's some TV shows on here too, but mostly movies.
Okay. Well, that speaks for itself. It's fucking Bruce Willis.
It's
Bruce Willis. All over the place. I didn't even put it on here.
I don't have one other than like the It's a Good Day to Die Hard. Prior to that, I almost put in Lethal Weapon, but it hasn't had a movie come out in like 10 years. So that's why I didn't put Lethal Weapon.
I think too.
And so I didn't put them on there. But it's a good movie. Every one of those movies has something about it that makes it awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But the newest one, not the one that just came out like a couple years ago.
Not with Jack Courtney.
The Live Free or Die Hard, great movie, fantastic action. Just Bruce Willis kicking ass. The third one was really good. He had a great villain. Samuel Jackson and him worked really well together.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, Dallas Airport. Die Hard 2. Yeah.
How does the same shit keep happening to the same motherfucking guy on the same motherfucking day every motherfucking year?
And then you have the original one, obviously, with
classic.
Alan Rickman?
Yeah.
Alan Rickman is the villain.
Yeah.
And he was a great villain. And, he's a good actor. Playing a lot of things. That was my number 6. You got your number 6?
Marvel.
In general?
I'm saying Marvel in general, but if you think about it, and we're talking about franchising and getting it out there to the kids, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man didn't start movie-wise until...
Not necessarily movies. Early 80s, kids' cartoon, toys, comic books, covered it all. And then 3 or 4 different renditions of the cartoon, plus we're on our second rendition of the movie franchise, heading into our third. Yeah, it's a brilliant marketing ploy. But I say Marvel in general because they also did X-Men pretty much the same way. Had the cartoons, spawned into movies, was always a toy line, always been in comics. Like when we talk about longest running franchises, I'm thinking big picture, not just movie franchises. I'm thinking big picture. That's just me. But that's just the way we interpret a term. But that's what makes this interesting is the way you interpret something and I interpret something. That's why I think the top 10 is more interesting than it should be, is because just the way we interpret when he says franchise.
I interpret it. We'll go ahead and finish this, and I'll tell you how I interpreted it. So you had your number 6 was
Marvel, overall Spider-Man, and then I guess I'm on to 5, which would be DC, Batman, Superman, and the justification behind that was starters of comic books, TV series way back in the day, like black and white Superman TV show. And then the 60s, we had the Batman TV show. Both have spawned into multi-billion-dollar movie franchises, along with kids shows, toys, comic books, coloring book, like the franchise. Everything is there. Games. Like Arkham, you love playing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all there. That's the way I look at it.
That's your number 5?
That's my number 5.
And you said it's all DC, so not just one specific one.
Well, I put those two names in there in general just to show how deep-reaching and how far-running they are.
Well, if you think about it, no other two characters in DC have really had longevity in
not the way they have.
In a movie / everything else medium.
And I could dive back to Marvel really quick and say Captain America, who was essentially created as a poster child and get everyone on board for the war, and boom, there it is. But anyway, onward and upward. That was my 5. You?
Number 5 for me, and I can't find it. Yep, I don't have number 5. So let's just say I must have missed that somewhere.
You're gonna throw BSG in there?
Yeah, let me just make sure. I was still right there. I don't have a number 5 because I guess I was numbering them weird and I missed one. So I just put Battlestar Galactica in. The one in the 70s.
Campy and weird, but still so much fun.
So much fun. And then you had one in the 80s they had. It only had like 13 episodes. But then they modernized it really nicely.
Beautiful.
And they had like on-screen TVs. It's iconic. There's certain things that are just iconic.
The way it ended was
like we were to talk about the top 3 most famous spaceships in the history, or 4, I threw 4 in there, of like all time. You have Millennium Falcon, Starship Enterprise, Battlestar Galactica, and I'll throw Firefly in there, or Serenity. Like the 4 most iconic spaceships of all time. And this is one I'm missing.
I would disagree.
Why?
Because you didn't mention Prometheus, and Daedalus, the Hammond.
I'm not a huge
That's
fan
not a franchise you follow.
I'm not a huge fan of Prometheus. So.
Well, no, not the show.
I know.
The first ship in Stargate was Prometheus.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, well, no, Prometheus, like the movie, is where
no,
like,
fuck that.
aliens came from.
No, I'm not even worried about that franchise, which we didn't even mention, by the way.
I haven't seen anything from it in a long time. That's why I didn't put it in there.
Did you go back and watch the second movie?
I've watched them all.
Movie? Okay.
Yeah, you asked me to a long time ago. That's why then I came on the podcast and agreed, yes, this is definitely a series that is top 10 worthy of the greatest sequels of all time. Greatest second installment, not a sequel,
yeah.
Second installment. So that was my number 5. I probably moved things around, honestly, and put something else there, but I'll just stick with that. Number 4 for me, Batman series.
Okay.
And, me being a Batman fan, that's a big deal to put it at number 4 and not any higher. But Batman show in the 60s was pretty good. They had cartoons and like the Super Friends and maintain its relevancy. The comic books, if you never read the comic books, you should. Because
especially the Killing Joke.
They update those comics and they modernize them so well. Like right now, Gotham is going off the New 52, which has the Society of Owls, which they're getting into right now. It's really good. If you ever get a chance to do that, and then they've modernized the movies are just the newest movies, not the last of like Tim Burton started the series. Those are pretty good. The first 2, those are good. Batman Forever was okay. I'm okay with it because I like Tommy Lee Jones. I like Jim Carrey.
Going back and watching them now, they seem very campy. It's like going back and watching the original.
Because they're based on the comic books more than based on an actual real story of how Batman.
But the same can be said to go back and watch the original Superman films. They're good, but now they're campy by today's standards.
And then you watch the Dark Knight trilogy. With Dark Knight trilogy, in my opinion, is just one of the greatest adaptations of a comic book ever because Batman it's like everyone always like Batman's not a real superhero.
I can't believe you only have that ranked one above me. We were seeing eye to eye so well last week.
Yeah. Batman is. Everyone always says Batman's not a real superhero. I'm like, well, for someone who I consider him a superhero because for someone who is quote not a real superhero because he doesn't have a superpower, he does pretty good going toe to toe with guys with him.
He's trained himself to the apex of the human condition.
Yeah, and that makes him a superhuman, in my opinion.
Well, that's a superpower in and of itself because there's not a fucker out there alive on this planet right now that has trained themselves to the apex of the human condition, considering mentally and physically. Nobody.
No.
Nobody.
I mean, you can go mentally to the extreme on that spectrum or physically. You're not going to get both. It's really rare that you would ever get anyone near both. So that was my number 4.
My turn. I went with Doctor Who at number 4.
Okay,
just because of how long and far-reaching it's been. Not a fan. I'm not a fan. Don't hold it against me.
I watched it as a kid.
Not my shit. I tried watching some of the new stuff. Actually, shit, Torchwood better than I do Doctor Who, which is a spinoff of Doctor Who, but I'm not going to go into detail. But it's just so long running. You have to respect it. And it might not have been as big over here, but go over to Britain. The toys are always on the shelves. There were comic books. It's technically the longest running TV franchise of all time.
Yeah.
Like, no one's ever going to beat that. Ever.
60 Minutes could.
Shows, not news documentary type bullshit.
On that, there are a lot of people in the United States that love that show.
Now,
there are a lot of people
that they can get to it. But when we were kids, you couldn't get to it.
I could watch on PBS the older version.
Yeah,
I watched a lot of it on PBS.
But that's all you could do. You couldn't have it all. You could have what they were giving you. Yeah. Now you can have it all.
Yeah, well, I wish at the time. I would love to watch that show. It's so good. Number 3?
Stargate.
Okay.
Stargate. Started as a movie, branched out into a super awesome TV series.
That's not that. You and I have 2 series that are towing the line on our cap on how old it should be.
It's close.
Yeah,
it's close. Like 13
Toy Story
years.
is closer because Toy Story is literally 20 years ago.
Yeah, but like I said, I was also looking at how far-reaching it was because it also spawned a animated series for kids. And it was this close to having an import. This fucking close to having an import to where you could just start going through the gate system, build your character, whatever alien, whatever human you wanted, and go through that, which would have been absolutely fucking amazing because it would have been unlimited in its potential. But as per usual, the ratings drop below whatever magic number fucking sci-fi deems possible for a show that you put on Friday night at fucking 10 o'clock, you dumb cocks. Sorry, that's what ruined it.
I know. I agree. Friday night slots.
Fucking just send them there to die, except for Hawaii 5-0 for whatever reason is still doing fantastic.
People don't go
I
out
love it. I love Hawaii 5-0.
I don't. I never sat down and watched it. It's not that I don't love it. I don't hate it either, but
not his thing. But no, toy lines, collectible.
When did Starship Troopers come out? That would toe the line, I think, because they've had some TV shows.
December of 1997.
Okay.
December of 1997.
When did the book come
out? The book came out in the 60s.
Okay. I was just curious.
So it could have been. You know what? There's my honorable mention. Would be Starship Troopers.
Okay.
So there it is.
Number 3 for me, Indiana Jones.
See, I wasn't even considering that because I was thinking more open.
There's Indiana Jones. You have movies started in the 80s.
You have Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
You have Young Indiana Jones. You have the newer one coming out. They actually have one coming out in 2 years. They have video games adaptations of it.
Pitfall.
Yeah. Apparently, Christopher Pratt is in line to be the new Indiana Jones. Oh, honorable mention. I didn't want to throw out there Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Jurassic Park's been
Jurassic Park would have been a good one too. But Indiana Jones, I love the franchise. My dad got me into. That's his favorite movie. Is the Raiders of the Lost Ark. The stories are so good. Doom is meh, but it's still action, still fun.
Yeah, Last Crusade and Raiders are the best.
By far the 2 best. I didn't hate Crystal Skull, but I didn't like you throw aliens in it. That's stupid.
Yeah, I like the way they were going more with the mystical god end than they were with the alien fucking technology end.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I really like that about the first 3 films. Is that's where they sucked. That was a real house, and then all of a sudden they're like aliens. No, kids, you can't change the recipe halfway through fucking mixing the batter. It doesn't work that way.
So that's number 3. Number 2 is James Bond. One of the best. By the way, who's your favorite James Bond?
My favorite Bond? I'm actually a huge fan of Daniel Craig. I'm not gonna lie. Pierce Brosnan did a fantastic job. Sean Connery set the standard.
You also understand that Sean Connery did it with a tenth of the budget they have for even Roger Moore, much less now with Daniel Craig.
Were you going to mention Timmy?
Tim?
Yeah. Nobody fucking likes Tim. Timmy. One Bond movie. One Bond.
I can't remember his name.
It doesn't. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but I can't remember his name.
How
was it On Her Majesty's Service?
No. Was it? I don't know. I think it was. No, that was Roger Moore.
Roger Moore did the most movies. I think he did like 8.
I don't know. I like the newer shit. I've watched all of them. I've watched all of them repeatedly. I've seen everything there is to.
Sean Connery is my favorite. Then I like Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore had the best scripts available to him.
What? For 2 hours and almost 40 minutes.
Pierce Brosnan was Roger Moore had the best scripts available to him. He had a lot of good stories. And I like all of them. There's not one I dislike. If I had to dislike one, it would be Roger Moore. Only because it's kind of weird that you have a gay guy playing a womanizer.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. But James Bond has stood the test of time. It's based on the book by, what's his name?
That guy who did that thing.
It's not Ian Fleming. But anyway, it's based on a book.
We're not being graded on our fact correctness.
We're not.
That's what the comments.
I went off on a YouTube thing earlier.
I do not troll people.
I went off on a YouTube. I'm gonna say this real quick. I went off on a YouTube thing earlier. They were going to top 10 like historically inaccurate movies of all time. They put 300 on there as like number 2. And I went off on them. Like, first off, the movie 300 is not based on historical accuracy. It's based on a graphic novel by Frank Miller.
Yeah.
There's nothing in that movie that claims that it's historically accurate. That this is based on true events or whatever.
Actually, it even says based on the story by graphic novel by Frank Miller.
Exactly. And I went off on them. I'm like, dude, you guys don't discredit a movie and downgrade it for something you never claimed it was trying to be. It wasn't trying to be historically accurate. It was doing was trying to be the film adaptation of a graphic novel.
Are you trying to beat last week's record? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, I'm sorry. Number 2 for you. But I have a point though, right?
You do have a point.
Stupid.
You have to, if you're going to argue something, you have to base it off whether or not the person who was talking about it was on your argument at all. Because if you're having 2 different arguments based on versus graphic novel versus reality, you're a fucking retard because that's never going to mesh up. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
300 was based on a graphic novel. The graphic novel was based on a story as told down the line, hand in hand, and we all know what happens to stories as they go from you to me to her to the next guy. They get bigger and weirder. Mm-hmm. Transformers, of course, is my number two. Number two. Is my number 2.
Our number 1 is exactly the same.
But no, Transformers had to be number 2 for me because started as literally a piece of shit toy line in Japan called Diaclone that no one really was interested in or bought into. Handed it to some U.S. marketing guys like, how can we do better with this? Spun a whole story about Cybertron and whatever and built it around Optimus Prime and Megatron and this colossal battle that went from their world to our world. And boom, next thing you know, you got a toy line, a comic book, a cartoon show, an animated movie that did fairly well for an animated movie in 1986.
Beast Wars.
Yeah, and just when everyone thought it had died because they went into the whole Generation 2 thing, then Beast Wars pops up and everyone's like, is that Transformers? I don't think that's Transformers. But no, it was Transformers and it went to Beast Wars and then it went to Beast Machines and no one gave a shit about Beast Machines because it fucking sucked. It was well written, it was a good show, but the toys were fucking hated them. And it died and then RID, like every time it just slowly starts to smolder out, it reignites and keeps coming back. And it's always been comics. It's video games. It's movies. Like, seriously, we're hitting on our 5th movie in 2 years. 2 years.
There's going to be 4 more.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy. It's going to be so much fun. And I also collect them, and I have a lot of the comic books and most of the action figures and seen everything that has to do with Transformers at least 28,000 times, maybe more. I think I've actually seen the original animated movie over 1,000 times, personally. I love it. I just really love it. And number 1, we're all in agreement. Star Wars. Boom. Nothing is as far-reaching as Star Wars. Nothing.
War is awesome.
Nothing. The movies. Let's never mind the fact we're heading into number 7 currently, which is going to be, they're going to tell the whole 9-story arc.
The 3rd trailer broke Fandango. It broke Fandango.
Not only did it break Fandango,
you have a record already for pre-sales.
The early ticket sales broke StubHub. Like, everything broke. The internet broke when early online sales went. So, let's cover what Star Wars has done. It has conquered cinema. Completely conquered cinema. Mm-hmm. Like, no one has ever conquered cinema.
Music.
I'll
throw the music out there. The soundtracks are amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Was it John Williams? Yeah, John Williams.
What other franchise other than Bond has used the same fucking soundtrack for as long? Star Trek. The same soundtrack over and over again, and just
they changed it for next gen. They did change it for next gen.
Yeah, but overall, the music.
The
score is the score. The score is the score. Comic books.
Star Wars is still the best though, because even people that have not seen Star Wars, they can hear a sound from Star Wars like the Imperial March and know what it is. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, you can say it to anyone, they'll know exactly what. Not everyone's going to know Star Trek.
No, you're true.
Not everyone's going to know.
Yeah, it's fucking weird anyway because it's all a bunch of fucking high pitched whistling and shit. Comic books, right there. Figures. You talk about merchandising.
Books, video games,
novelizations.
novelizations.
How many different novels have been written on episodes 7, 8, and 9, or just within 7, 8, or 9? That's insane. It's not even done yet. It's not even out yet. And people were writing about what was going to happen next right after 1983 when episode 6 came out. It's been around that long. More import. Who does it better? Who does it better? Bethesda, you guys do a fantastic job with Morrowind, Oblivion, all that heavy horseshit. I will give you all the credit in the world. Fat shout out to my friend Megan Batista, who works for them. Fantastic job on the game. But who does it better? They've been doing it since, let's see, the first one came out in 2003 when I was on active duty.
Games?
Import.
We can consider imports.
Well, maybe not. It wasn't online at the time, but just a massive open universe that you can just start here.
Oh, yeah.
And
Star Wars Galaxies or whatever.
Yeah.
Star Wars Galaxies.
And even before that, on the computer, like that Doom Rebel Alliance.
There's so many. I could go down a list of so many games.
They've done it all. They have done it all.
The Old Republic. I've showed you trailers for that. Trailers alone are just enough to play that game. Mm-hmm. You see, the trailers are amazing.
Dude, for the new one.
Yeah.
The trailer. Brilliant. Absolute. That new trailer with the X-Wing floating outside the office building.
What is amazing about Star Wars
is such in my life.
It's such a vast galaxy, like history, story, a world created from one guy's mind. And that is what is insane about it. That's what's so amazing about it.
And also, he allowed everyone, here's the sounds. Here's the license. Enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Not as much as Gene Roddenberry did, but definitely gave them a lot of leeway. You don't have to, like, if we could literally hold up toothpicks right now and have a lightsaber duel and use the actual sound used from the movies and not have to pay a fucking dime for it.
And he's still a billionaire.
Richer than shit.
He gave $1 billion to charity after he sold Star Wars. He still has like general.
He has
general input.
Yeah, he has input, not oversight.
Which I don't mind Star Wars doing it because he was going to do it anyway. It's just they have more resources. They have so much more.
Yeah, Disney's a fucking right check. Okay, this is how much money they stand to make off the Marvel and Star Wars franchise over the years. Tron, as successful as it was when it came out a few years ago, and I loved it. I don't know about him, but I absolutely loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. They said, let's not work on that right now. We're making too much money.
Yeah, well, you don't want to put all these awesome things out and compete with yourself because you're going to slit your nut, you know.
Well, but because Marvel's going to keep rolling, and they are also planning on doing a one-off Star Wars film every other year. They're not doing an actual.
That's like what is
7, 8, 9.
The year the last Batman movie came out, they pushed back a release of a Harry Potter movie to like that winter because they didn't want to compete with itself. That way they can make max profits. You know, there's probably movies they can release today that are still like being quote edited. There's just no point. Like for a great example, remember G.I. Joe Retaliation? That was supposed to come out a week after the Avengers.
No one wanted to do that.
I know exactly. That's why they didn't do it because they made no money off of it.
Didn't they delay that an entire year?
Almost, yeah. It was like
they said it was because of 3D, but
and if they'd have delayed Battleship another month or two, that would have probably done better too.
I thought it was a very enjoyable.
Me and you both agree on that. And actually, I talked to my friend Ricky. My friend Ricky was in town this weekend, my best friend, and
Ricky.
And we actually were at his house. I was at his house, like playing around. We were talking about fantasy football and stuff, and we were watching it. I'm like, I love this movie. He's like, me too. And I'm like, why? It didn't do good domestically. Probably because if your standard's Avengers, I mean, not too many movies are going to meet the standard of the Avengers.
No one is.
I don't like Marvel that much, but the movie's fantastic. It's like, if you don't like DC, that's fine, but you got to admit, The Dark Knight is a fucking good movie.
Fucking good series.
Yeah. The Dark Knight trilogy is an absolutely great series. I mean, just be honest with yourself. That's all. That's all I ever tell people. Don't go into something with bitter. What I always tell you when you watch something. Go into it open-minded. Yeah, I know.
Did we just kick our own ass?
We kicked our own ass. We got Star Wars. That was like the last 10 minutes.
Well, it's a good transition. I'm gonna have to take a break and take a piss and feed the baby, and then I'll put the baby in his thing, and he'll walk around. And while he's doing that, we'll talk. The new Star Wars trailer.
Star Wars.
Both
the cartoons are actually great too. They're fantastic. Clone Wars, now Rebels.
Well, we can forget about. Well, actually,
I'm just throwing those into.
There was an Ewoks live action series. There was an Ewoks cartoon. There was a Droids cartoon. Like, we could go so into detail on how much shit there was. And for you comic book people who actually like to read comic books, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Read Star Wars Infinities. It's based on episodes 4, 5, and 6. It's fucking amazing. It completely flips shit to where, get this, Luke dies, Leia turns evil, and Obi-Wan is the savior of the fucking Rebel Alliance. Read it.
Okay. We're going to jump to Star Wars now. That'll be our last topic. I know. We're going to pause, but I'm just going to tell them. We're going to jump to Star Wars, okay?